attention on the body, the thoughts, the emotions, and the breath so that we can feel and stay connected all day long, which in turn keeps our stress levels down, keeps our nervous system in balance, and allows us to experience those flow states that we hear so much about. Warming up, we'll do our 15-second mindful smile, and we'll move into the 2-minute mindful breathing practice. And then after that, I'll introduce our 8-minute practice for today. Mindful smile begins with a big smile and at the same time connecting to the body, the thoughts, the emotions, and the breath. So big smile for 15 seconds. Okay, good smiling. And now for a 2-minute mindful breathing practice. Bringing our attention to the posture, just coming to a comfortable posture, whatever works best for you. Always using the imagination and creativity to create the practice that works best for you. And then embodying those attitudes of alert attention and self-acceptance, just accepting who we are in this moment. It's a big part of self-compassion, being kind to oneself, just accepting who we are in this moment. And then bringing the attention to the breath as we breathe naturally. Breathing in and out through the nose, because we know that nose breathing calms down the nervous system and takes us out of the stress mode, out of fight or flight. That's why we do nose breathing in mindfulness. So fully experiencing each cycle of breath, the in-breath, that slight pause, and then the out-breath. Breathing, staying with the breath. Noticing the movement of the lower abdomen, that area below the belly button, with each breath. The belly inflates on the in-breath, and then it deflates on the out-breath. It's called diaphragmatic breathing. It's a healthy way to breathe so that we initiate the breath at the lower abdomen rather than in the chest, which is what happens when we're in that stress mode. So we want to initiate it at the lower abdomen, breathing. Lower abdomen inflates, slight pause, and then it deflates. Noticing when the attention wanders, where does it go to? Maybe it goes to a thought or an emotion or a physical sensation, taking note of that, and then coming back to the breath, knowing that each repetition back and forth is what's building that mindful muscle. As we breathe mindfully, fully experiencing each breath, using our attention as the bridge to experience what's happening into the body. Breathing. Very very simple practice, yet very, very effective. The simpler the practice, the more effective it is. Remembering that mindfulness is about embodiment, being connected to the body. Okay, and then moving into our 8-minute practice, today's practice will be a practice of opposites. So we're going to take two opposite emotions and practice being present with them. We don't want to do one because then there can be some imbalance. But if we do two and they're opposite, then we're always in that center road into that balance experience. That's why I like to do practices of opposites. So today's opposites will be fear and hope. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to start with fear and reflect inward, reflecting on things that cause us fear. I know it's not particularly a comfortable practice, but it's an important practice because we tend to disconnect when we experience fear. And then disconnection leads to a lot of problems, takes us out of the moment. So we want to practice being present during uncomfortable times, during fearful times. So using your imagination and creativity, reflecting inward on what is it that causes you fear, and then just to the extent that you're able to, experiencing that fear. And if you need to take a break every once in a while from the fear, just coming back to the breath and then going back to the fear. So taking it easy on yourself, you can cut yourself some flack here, but the idea is to fully experience the fear so that we can create a new pattern, so that we stay present during fearful times. So checking in with the fear, what is it that you're afraid of? What kind of fear does that bring up? And how do you experience fear? Does it affect your body? Does it affect your thoughts or emotions? Might even affect the breath. Sitting with fear. Noticing any tendency to want to disconnect as we're experiencing that fear. It's a natural tendency. But we want to build up that mindful muscle that allows us to be present in all situations. Fear being one of the most difficult situations to stay present for. Staying with the fear. Coming back to the fear when you feel yourself disconnecting, if you need to use the breath, doing that. Okay, so that's it for fear. Now we're going to do the opposite. And today's opposite will be hope. Now, arguably, there could be a number of other different emotions that are opposite fear. A lot of people feel like love is the opposite of fear. Kindness, gratitude, all of those qualities, those good qualities, are really interconnected. But let's focus in on hope today, because hope is also connected with those qualities of love and compassion and kindness and gratitude and so forth and so on. So, reflecting inward, let's experience things that we're hopeful about. It can be very, very simple. It doesn't have to be a big deal or profound. It can be something as simple as, I'm hopeful that I'll be able to have a meal for dinner tonight. For some people out there, that's a very real hope that they would embrace. So as we reflect inward, just allowing things that we're hopeful about to bubble up. I'm hopeful that I'll get a raise at work, or I'm hopeful that I'll meet a new friend next week. Hopeful that I'll feel less fear going forward. So staying with the hope. Hope is a bridge that takes us to our better selves. Once we arrive at our better selves, we no longer need the hope. But it's very, very useful. Hope is a great quality to embody. What are we hopeful for? Hopeful that we'll get a good grade in our next exam. And just staying present with these feelings, the experiences that are associated with hopefulness. So here we're practicing being present during unpleasant and comfortable experiences. We're doing the opposite of what we did with the fear. Learning how to be present in all situations, including pleasant situations. What are we hopeful about? Experiencing the hope. If the attention wanders, bringing it back. How many things can you come up with that you feel hopeful about? Sometimes it takes practice to identify those things that we're hopeful about. But they're there. Staying with the hope. And now, if your eyes are closed, let's open them so that we can finish the practice with our eyes open, continuing with that experience of hope, of hopefulness, building the bridge between this formal practice into our everyday activity so that we can carry this hope into our everyday life. Carry this skill set of being able to stay present, to feel connected to our bodies. hope. It's a great quality to have. Okay, so that was our 8-minute practice for today. And let's see, Joshua's got a question about mindfulness and ADD and ADHD. Okay, so attention deficit disorder and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Mindfulness has been shown in many, many studies to help with ADD and ADHD. There's a lot of reasons why that happens. The studies basically connect the dots, though. They say that if you practice mindfulness, your ability to focus, pay attention, and be more emotionally intelligent is going to increase. I have a theory that for those of us who get stuck in fight or flight, and that's a lot of us, there's an epidemic out there of people who are getting stuck in fight or flight. One of the ramifications of that is that we get a regular shot of adrenaline. And if you're familiar with that feeling of adrenaline and everything that comes along with it, it's a very hyper kind of feeling. It makes it very difficult for us to concentrate and pay attention. Well, if we're stuck in fight or flight long enough, it's going to affect our ability to focus and pay attention. And so I think it's a ripe area for research. There's been some research done along these lines already, and I think they're connecting the dots between an abundance of adrenaline and the inability to pay attention. So because mindfulness takes us out of the fight or flight mode and normalizes the nervous system, therefore reducing the adrenaline, then it's logical to conclude that as the adrenaline reduces, our ability to focus and pay attention to the present moment increases. And I think that's really one of the keys to understanding how mindfulness helps with ADD and ADHD. So if you're interested, you can Google mindfulness and ADD and ADHD. There'll be plenty of good reading out there about that. So Joshua, I hope that was helpful for you, because mindfulness is definitely very, very effective in addressing ADD and ADHD. So finishing up now with our 15-second mindful smile starting now. And there we have it for today. Always fun spending some time with you. And until next time, take care and be well.